As the war in Ukraine intensifies, the conflict is rapidly evolving into one of the most significant geopolitical crises of our time. Russian forces are making aggressive advances on strategic Ukrainian positions, including the critical town of Pokrovsk, while Ukraine is ramping up its counter-offensive operations. In an unprecedented move, Kyiv's drone attacks have sparked fires inside Russia, targeting vital infrastructure and sending shockwaves across the region. Amidst these developments, the European Union's top diplomat has called for a crucial policy shift, urging Ukraine's international backers to lift restrictions on strikes inside Russian territory. What could this mean for the future of the war, and how might it reshape the global balance of power? Ukraine-Russia war, escalation, diplomacy, and the battle for Pokrovsk. Russian advance on Pokrovsk. The town of Pokrovsk, situated in Ukraine's Donetsk region, has become a focal point in the ongoing conflict. Russian forces, determined to gain control of the region, have launched a relentless assault on this strategically important town. Reports from the ground indicate that Russian troops are advancing steadily, forcing Ukrainian defenders into a perilous situation. The loss of Pokrovsk could pave the way for further Russian incursions into the Donetsk region, making it a critical battleground. For Russia, capturing Pokrovsk is more than just a territorial gain. It represents a symbolic victory in their broader campaign to dominate eastern Ukraine. This town is a gateway to deeper penetrations into Ukrainian-held areas, and its fall could potentially open new fronts in the conflict. Ukrainian forces, understanding the town's significance, are fiercely resisting the Russian advance. However, the situation is dynamic, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The battle for Pokrovsk encapsulates the broader struggle for control over eastern Ukraine, a struggle that has seen waves of intense fighting, shifting front lines, and devastating consequences for the civilian population. The outcome of this battle could significantly influence the overall trajectory of the war, with far-reaching implications for both Ukrainian sovereignty and Russian expansionist ambitions. Ukraine's drone strikes and Russian retaliation. In a dramatic escalation, Ukraine has launched one of its most extensive drone campaigns to date, targeting critical infrastructure deep within Russian territory. These strikes, which reportedly involved over 150 drones, have sparked fires at key power plants and disrupted operations at several military installations. This bold move marks a significant shift in Ukraine's strategy, taking the fight directly to Russian soil in an effort to weaken Moscow's war machine. The decision to launch such an aggressive campaign was likely driven by the increasing pressure on Ukrainian forces at the front lines. By targeting power plants and military infrastructure within Russia, Kyiv aims to disrupt the logistical and operational capabilities of the Russian military. These strikes serve as both a strategic military action and a psychological blow to Moscow, highlighting Ukraine's ability to reach far beyond its borders. Russia has responded with a combination of outrage and increased military aggression. The Kremlin has condemned the strikes as acts of terrorism and has vowed to retaliate with greater force. This rhetoric has been accompanied by a surge in Russian missile and artillery attacks on Ukrainian cities and infrastructure, further escalating the conflict. The tit-for-tat nature of these actions raises the specter of a broader and more destructive conflict with potential consequences for the entire region. The use of drones by Ukraine is not just a tactical maneuver, but also a demonstration of the evolving nature of warfare in the 21st century. These unmanned aerial vehicles provide a cost-effective way to deliver significant damage to the enemy while minimizing the risk to human operators. As both sides continue to innovate and adapt, the role of technology in this conflict is likely to become even more pronounced. Section 3. EU's Josep Borrell pushes for a new strategy. As the conflict escalates, the European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, has made a significant and potentially controversial statement. In a meeting with the EU's foreign ministers, Borrell urged Ukraine's international allies to reconsider the restrictions currently placed on the use of weapons provided to Kyiv. Specifically, he called for the lifting of limitations that prevent Ukraine from striking targets within Russian territory. Borrell's statement reflects growing frustration within the EU over the protracted nature of the conflict and the limitations these restrictions impose on Ukraine's ability to defend itself. The EU has been a key supporter of Ukraine, providing billions in military and humanitarian aid. However, Many of these contributions come with conditions, most notably restrictions on the use of certain advanced weaponry to avoid provoking a direct confrontation with Russia. We need to lift restrictions on the use of weaponry against Russian military targets in accordance with international law, Borrell stated, highlighting the need for a more flexible and robust response to the evolving situation. His remarks have sparked a debate within the EU and among Ukraine's other international backers about the balance between supporting Ukraine and avoiding a broader war with Russia. The United States, which has provided some of the most advanced military equipment to Ukraine, has also imposed similar restrictions. Washington's fear is that strikes deep within Russia could escalate the conflict to a level where NATO might be drawn in, leading to a direct confrontation between nuclear-armed powers. However, as Ukraine faces increasing pressure from Russian advances, there is a growing argument that these restrictions hinder Kyiv's ability to effectively counter Russian aggression. Borrell's push for a policy shift could signify a new phase in the West's involvement in the conflict. If the EU and other allies agree to lift these restrictions, it could provide Ukraine with the means to strike back more effectively at Russian forces. However, it also carries the risk of escalating the conflict to an even more dangerous level, potentially drawing in other nations and destabilizing the region further. Section 4. Implications for the conflict. The implications of lifting these restrictions are profound. Allowing Ukraine to strike inside Russia would undoubtedly alter the dynamics of the conflict. It could force Moscow to reconsider its military strategy, particularly its use of airfields and bases that are currently out of reach for Ukrainian forces. This could slow down or complicate Russia's ability to launch attacks on Ukrainian positions, potentially providing a strategic advantage to Kyiv. However, this shift also carries significant risks. Strikes inside Russia could provoke a severe response from Moscow, leading to an escalation in hostilities that might not be confined to Ukraine. The possibility of a broader conflict involving more countries and potentially drawing in NATO cannot be ruled out. This is the delicate balance that Ukraine's allies must navigate, supporting Ukraine's right to defend itself while avoiding a full-scale war with Russia. Allowing Ukraine to strike inside Russia could be a game-changer. It would pressure Moscow to reconsider its military strategy. However, it also risks escalating the conflict to a level that could draw in other powers, potentially leading to a broader war, warns a geopolitical expert. As the international community watches these developments with growing concern, the decisions made in the coming days will be critical. The balance of power in Eastern Europe, the stability of the region, and the future of Ukraine as a sovereign nation are all at stake. With the conflict showing no signs of abating, the role of diplomacy, military strategy, and international law will be more important than ever. The global implications of the Ukraine-Russia conflict extend far beyond the borders of these two nations. The war has already disrupted global supply chains, contributed to energy crises, and heightened geopolitical tensions worldwide. As the situation continues to evolve, the actions of Ukraine's allies and the international community will play a crucial role in shaping the outcome of this conflict and the future of international relations. The war in Ukraine has entered a critical and perilous phase. Russian forces are pressing their advance on key Ukrainian positions, while Ukraine is pushing back with unprecedented strikes inside Russia. The calls for lifting restrictions on military support are growing louder, reflecting the urgency of the situation and the need for decisive action. The decisions made in the coming days and weeks could define the trajectory of this war and the future of Europe. Stay tuned as we continue to monitor these critical developments. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Your engagement helps us bring you the latest and most important updates on this evolving situation. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and keep following the developments that are shaping our world.